I really, really should get to the tanning bed. I need my eyebrows did, need my nails did my nose, my toes did, my nose. I've been thinking about it. I'm like, I wish I could do a little Nene Leaks. Not go crazy like she did. But anyways, I got my little book and notes and stuff. So I don't remember where we left off, but I do remember talking about how I met my. It's just my baby daddy. Who? My baby daddy. The one that I claim. And then I do remember talking about the misters, which, and I'm not reading the comments today because I get distracted. I need to try to focus. I didn't look at the titles too much beforehand, so I don't have a full on story like per se, but I'm just gonna talk by memory. But I had an ex ask me, and I might have talked about this in one of my videos. I don't understand why guys do this when they don't want to know the truth. And I always make things worse just to see their response. So I don't think I was trying to make it sound worse because I definitely didn't want to sound like a hoe. But back in my 20s, I used to think of like, oh, if you were with somebody, that meant whether you talk to them on the phone or I forgot my lollipop. Lollipop. Well, you know what? I am gonna smell pretty though for a second. Get my little. I still have almost halfway gone. Let me see. Oh, I almost sprayed it in my face. No. Oof, oof, oof. I should have just sprayed once. Ah. But anyways, oof. I'm gonna have to open up the window. Um, they asked me like, oh, how many people have you? I don't know if they phrased it like been with or talked to. So, um, yeah, but I was honest. I counted all the people that I talked to. And even if we just had one kiss, if we had more than 5 conversations on the phone, I used to count those guys as like exes. And I realized right away after I told him that he was like disgusted. And I was just being honest. Like, you asked me how many people I talked to or how many people I. In my mind, back then in my 20s, I used to consider that ex. Now I know counting down is really like 5 when I count the real relationships and, more than just talking or one kiss or one date or whatever. But either way, I just thought it was funny. But today, we're here. Um, we are on number 16 on my list. Because I definitely remember talking about Nico Jafar, Anthony's. I don't know why I had like 3 Anthony's at one point. And thank God they were from different states. So that was easier to keep track of who, what was what. But I don't know. I was trying to be like so-called heartless. That was around that time that song did come out. Was it? It was around that time and after. I was like, you know what? I'm done. After having my first kid and having my relationship failed, I was like, I just, and then actually falling in love again. And it's not even love, it was like lust with like lightning storm. mixed in it. It was all like a mixture of feelings. And I couldn't even tell if they were real. Wow, 19 people. This is the most I ever had. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome to my story times. Uh, so today, yeah, I'm talking about moving to Florida and how I met the men I thought I married. My ex-husband. But yeah, so I I just told you guys a side story about an ex asking me about how many lovers or exes I had, and he was so turned off. I thought he was just being responsible, but like after that relationship failed, I was like, he looked at me as a whole. The whole time, he's like, oh, you're so nice. He just kept saying that throughout the time we were talking and trying to figure out. Now, mind you, thanks to him, I did find out he was positive because, you know, I was having some symptoms, and that was right after um, I broke up with that guy. And like a year later, I met this guy. I was still trying to be heartless, tough, whatever, whatever. But there's always one that catches me, and it's like, oh, well, maybe. And I start hoping and wishing, and I let my guard down, and I let people in. And it just, it never, it shouldn't surprise me anymore, really. But, anyways, yeah, I was like, I don't know why I was trying so hard in that relationship. I was basically, and I do this a lot. Like I noticed I was just trying to convince somebody else to love me. Like I'm worth it. I wasn't saying that, but basically, I was trying to sell myself. And when he kind of stopped me, and he's like, I was like, what am I doing? I shouldn't, like, whoever's for me, whether it's a sister, a brother, or any family member, or a boyfriend, or a husband, like, ladies, especially you guys, you should never feel like you have to convince that person that you are good enough, that you are worthy, that you can and will work through stuff. And you know, they either see it or they don't. Believe me, I wasted about 9 years trying to convince 3 different people, or maybe my whole life. Because when I think about it, um, I know I couldn't talk, but I don't know what a baby feels when a mom chooses herself and chooses to leave you crawling around on a dirt floor, hoping that her mom noticed you, my grandma. And then my stepmom finds me eating worms using an umbrella for a skirt or a dress. So I had that survival instinct in me from day one. But the sad part is nobody chooses to, damn it, I said I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. Hello, hello, cook kid. Hello, hello. Do I like your dog? I might have to zoom in to see your doggy. Danielle. Uh, and I think the hurt goes so deep to the point that I don't understand. Like I push people away, hoping that they stay. And I know it doesn't make sense. And I had a lot of counseling, a lot of self reflecting to know that if they do come back, then I feel like, okay, they really aren't using me. They really aren't. They're really here because they care. And I wish I didn't have that defense mechanism because lately I have been speaking up for myself more. So I lost people because I disagree with certain things, and I used to stay quiet. I used to be around racist people. I know they were prejudiced. I know they were racist. They wouldn't say nothing around me, but I can just tell. But I took it because I'm like, it's better for my kids. My kids have opportunity with these people that I wouldn't have been able to offer them. I sacrificed myself a lot for my kids when they were younger. Put up with a lot of people that I would have been like and gone. But even as personal, like I just did it, what was it, yesterday? I was just begging somebody to love me yesterday. And I have to kind of click myself, like, or like if somebody unfriends me for no reason, I'd be like, what? Like, what did I do to you? And stuff that shouldn't hurt me. And maybe I shouldn't be saying it because it makes me feel like people that don't know that will use that or whatever. But anyways, we're not here for all that. How is everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I think about a lot of people that are by themselves for the holidays, and I used to try to do like potlucks or get-togethers. I'm using a selfie stick because last time I got on, I had the phone and I wasn't looking how I was holding my phone. I was just talking. And some wannabe over here, oh, dang, cuz. I don't know if it was really a cousin or just a troll, but they basically said that they could see the whole world. My nostrils were right there. So I'm like, let me use the selfie stick. Let me put on the light, even if I look pale. I'm going to go to a sunny spot soon. So hopefully I'll be looking more toasty next. Well, not next time because it won't be that soon. But I'll have to do something soon enough. But anyways, so moving to Florida, so that was a whole big process. So there was a few times that, and I gotta kind of tell the backstory to go back to how that happened. Um, so as far as me, like I've always craved family because I was raised around a lot of family. In the DR, I was around a lot of family. My stepmom's family, you know, we were always just, even the neighbors felt like family and this and that. So when I went into foster care, it was so like the people in the house just did stuff with those people. There wasn't anybody else coming over for Thanksgiving, Christmas, or nothing. The second house, the greedy lady that had 6 kids in a 2-bedroom apartment, she had a big old house. Her daughter owned it. I guess she bought it for her daughter with probably state money. But either way, she had a big old house upstate New York, Monticello. And if anybody knows where that's at, say hey. Um, so she had a house in Monticello. And if we had a 2-week break or longer, for the summer, we definitely were up there. I definitely remember going up there and playing in the snow. It was so beautiful. So we had her daughter, and I think the daughter had like four dogs. Or she had a wiener dog, the long, skinny ones, and she had a wolf one with a purple tongue. I forgot, and then like a tall one. The outdoor dogs had a lot of hair. I remember that, and I don't think she had kids, but at least we had that. And then they would invite. I think they invited the next door neighbor. The houses were separated, so there's a lot of land in between houses. But they would come over and eat and stuff. So, but other than that, everything was like so separate. And I know my family gossips and all that stuff, but as kids, I didn't hear all that. I wasn't like, I was just running around with my little cousins. And being in foster care, not only is it hard because if you're a teen, you're constantly being told that you're not wanted, that you weren't the first choice, that you weren't desired, that babies sell more and babies get adopted. And so then that kind of grew my feeling of feeling like I'm worthy. But I'm so glad that I did take a chance moving to Seattle because that boosted my self-esteem. I kind of developed a little bit of my personality thanks to Nathaniel, because if I would have went anywhere else, if I would have went to Garfield, Roosevelt, the bigger schools that seemed, I don't know, they just seemed like they had meaner kids. My school was so mellow, like I only had one bully there, so from New York, that's huge because almost everybody so could be a bully. Especially if you go from Manhattan to the Bronx, Bronx to Manhattan. People didn't cross over back then, especially me being Dominican going into the Bronx where Puerto Ricans and blacks supposedly didn't like Dominicans, blah, blah, blah. But I had no choice. I had to go wherever they sent me. So, anyways, off and on throughout the years of being in foster care, when I was in New York, I would reach out, I would visit my grandma as much as I could, cut class, walk over from the Bronx to Manhattan. It took me like 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours to walk over. I couldn't do that walk, not even the eighth of the way. 'Cause I don't even remember how I used to get there. I just know I went down the hill, up the stairs. I know I passed Jerome Street. There was a train station. Then you walk up the stairs, then around the corner. And believe it or not, my mom and my dad and my sisters were living right there. And that the whole time I could have ran into him. And I don't know. I don't think he would have hurt me. I think he would have been shocked. I think he would have been like, "Wait, you got the police here to get me?" Like I think he would have been scared and then shocked and then relieved, like, "Oh, you're by yourself? Oh, wow, where are you?" And then that would have been an issue because I wasn't supposed to be in contact with my family. I think we were done with court, but because I was pretty pissed at me, and one of my uncles said that he would take me out. So they were like, "Yeah, no. If you choose to break the rules, then you won't get your allowance." I was like, so I depended on a lot of my foster family not telling. So when I couldn't find, when I didn't feel like my foster family, like that third home that I used to walk from their house to, I had to cut school in order to make that walk. see my grandma, spend some time with her, and make it back in time so it looked like I was just at school all day. And and that way I didn't have to tell them in case they told my caseworker, took my money. And it wasn't even about the money. I wasn't scared about losing it, but I was just like, "Ugh, I don't want to have to deal with the caseworker being like, you putting yourself in danger, blah, blah." I'm not a tough guy, but it's hard for me to live by rules sometimes. So either way, I had that craving. Long story short, I had that craving of like, I have to make this happen one day. Like, my first thought was, I need to find my mom. I need to find my mom. I thought she was in New York. I tried with the agency. My caseworker was helping me. When I moved to Seattle, I bugged her again. I'm like, I need to find my mom. Then I was like, we're checking the DR. Is there any resources? I wrote a whole bunch. Anyways, my sole purpose was to somehow check my dad and my stepmom's temperature. See if they were willing to talk to me over the phone. If they sounded mad or whatever, I would have just left it alone for a while. But if they sounded concerned or welcoming, then my next step was going to be to push to meet in a public place so I could meet my little sister that I didn't meet because I was in foster care, and then see my other sister that I used to take care of. I think I only took care of for a couple of weeks or months in the summertime because I was only there. I think before she turned 2, I was gone. But either way, so I had that. It was always family, like family was burning a hole in my heart. Like, first it was like, okay, I need to know what happened with my mom. Like, I'm gonna keep asking questions until I get the answers. Like, I'm gonna find out what happened. And of course, a lot of people, this and that, but thanks to between my stepmom, Tia Blanca, Tia Morena, Tia Damari, and a couple of other people that were around the areas, I found out the truth about my mom. But that was after I met her. And so once I met her, I felt complete. When she left, my body crashed. I, I got really sick, really scared. But it was always like, I'm like, okay, now I feel like I got this piece. I need to let my sisters know that I didn't abandon them. Like, what are they telling them? All I kept thinking is the lies that my stepmom or my dad is telling them. I know my dad, the way he reacted when I was asking about my mom, he probably did the same thing with me. He probably would just get mad, start yelling, get red, and just grab a beer. My stepmom, those are her daughters. I'm sure she tried to comfort them and told them what was easiest, which later on I found out. They used to tell them that I was in college in Seattle. And, for a while that lie worked because they were too little to understand, like, oh, she can't travel. So that was enough. But either way, so long story short, with the Florida move, I eventually, obviously, got to not only meet my sisters, got to spend Christmas, New Year's, Christmas with them. The little one got really attached to me. And I felt bad that I didn't have the same attachment to her as I did with my older sister that's younger than me, because I felt like, dang, I was almost a mom for a whole summer with her. So I felt horrible. So I really try hard to kind of give them both, you know, the same amount of attention. The older one, the one that I was attached to, was kind of like, she always cautious, like she wasn't too up on me. Um, so once I got that done, I was like, okay, now I just want to be, will the family accept me back? Like, I know that sounds weird to people that have their family or decided to long time ago to be like, F you. If you don't F with me, I don't F with you. Well, I wasn't there yet. I was thinking that, just thinking about all those times that we used to spend at grandma's house, and I just thought that the cousins that knew me would be like, hey, yeah, this is our cousin Sean. Da, da, da. It wasn't like that, but I didn't know that yet. I did build enough off and on with my dad and some of my family members. I used to go down to Florida and visit a lot. I had a cousin, I had a few friends down there. Um, my cousin and her husband, and then I had a couple of friends that were married, then a couple of single friends. So I used to kind of rotate going out with them, or when I went to Florida, sometime I would stay with my cousins, sometime I would stay with my friends, and have fun. So I was able to slowly kind of see some of my family that lived in Florida. And then I had the opportunity. Somebody said, oh, Section A is having a lottery. You should apply if you want to get out of this area for better schools for your kids, blah, blah. By this time, I think I was already pregnant with my second kid. I know that Johnny, he was in Head Start. So he was like around 2, 3 years old. Anyway, so um, I was telling him, I said, I'm thinking about applying. Now, the only reason that I would apply, because I had a really nice apartment. It was close to downtown. It was the perfect location, like as far as where it was located. It wasn't too into the mess down there, and it wasn't too close to downtown. And it was huge. It had 2 bathrooms. The bathrooms were big. I know Johnny had like a jacuzzi tub, a big old round jacuzzi tub. His bath times were bomb. Because I always gave well, now my kids, but I always gave Johnny the master bedroom. I always felt like I had to. So, either way, so I talked to him and I just kind of threw it out there. I said, hey, we've been getting along better lately since you moved to Florida, and maybe you and Theo could help me if I do decide to move. Like, I've really been thinking about this for 10 years or more, probably 15 years at that time. So what do you think? And he was like, oh, okay. I don't think when I pitch an idea, I already have it planned in my head of how I want it to go. And I might have a plan A, plan B, plan C, just in case. Because I've always had to do that. Even when I look like I'm failing, believe me, I thought about that outcome, and I might cry, I might break down, I might feel like I want to give up. Then I get myself up. Okay, I knew this would happen, or I knew that this could happen. So what do I do now? And that's just the way I had to do things, because people say all the time, like, oh, these independent women, they act like they don't need a man. I heard this so much when I first had a Johnny. Oh, you need to let your baby daddy, because you're not a man. You can't raise no man. Well, what happened to the women that can't raise a woman? My mom didn't raise me. My stepmom didn't raise me. She did the necessary things to keep me alive. But there is nothing that she taught me about life other than the bad stuff when I was little. How to lie, how to be a snake, how to hate somebody from afar. She hated my mom so much when I started looking like her. I think that that's part of the reason why she kind of switched up. Because in the DR, she was very sweet to me. I don't remember one incident that I felt like, dang, why is she being mean? It just seemed like as soon as I came to New York, I just saw the misery and the anger and the frustration in her face. And my dad had a lot to do with it, so it's not all her fault. But I don't remember them ever reading me a book, teaching me no ABC, Spanish or English, or like, I mean, they taught me how to do the dishes, and she kind of taught me how to cook. She basically was like, watch. And I had to get it right the first time. Like, it wasn't no. So, like, I wasn't raised by a woman. I was raised by watching others and reading on my own and watching videos on how to be a good mom. And once I was pregnant with a Johnny, I did a lot of research. I did a lot of research before him because I was trying with Mr. G. I was trying for like a year or two with him. So, and I was, as soon as I worked at Babes with being a peer counselor, talking to all the ladies that were infected or affected during pregnancy, after pregnancy, before pregnancy, whether they were on meds or not, like getting I'm not, like, I don't do it on purpose, but now looking back, I'm like, dang, I was like a detective slash reporter, like investigator. I do a lot of that, and I learned that that's, people see that as a weakness, like, oh my God, you're always stressing, you're always thinking the worst. Da-da. It's like, no, it's just mentally preparing myself for whatever. I do see the good. The good goes like further away from me, and then I can just be surprised if it happens. If the good happens, it'll be a nice surprise. But I always think about three negative things or more. And what can I do if this happened? What can I do if this happened? What can I do if that happened? And if I don't think about that when it does happen, then I'm like, okay, I should have done it. And then, so it's a whole mental conversation I have with myself. I swear I shouldn't be bored. I should never be bored because I got so many things going on in my head all the time. But anyway, so yeah, I started kind of pitching the idea more and more. And every step, I always check in with people when I'm traveling to see them. If I'm depending on you to pick me up, if I'm depending on you for me to stay with you, I check in 6 months, 3 months, 2 months, a week, or 2 weeks, then a week. And then the day of, because if you tell me, boop, I'd rather lose the money and keep my peace than go somewhere where I'm going to feel like a hostage or uncomfortable or whatever. So Yeah, I think he really thought I was joking until I showed him the picture of the tickets. So he was like, yeah, yeah, of course, yeah, me and Theo got you, You also have your aunt here, your cousins, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, yeah, I'm talking about you two. Now, if I can get a yes from you two, I know it'll happen. So he's like, yeah, yeah, I talked to him. I talked to Theo Louis and da da da. It's like, okay, that's all I needed. So I'm moving forward. I'm putting my paperwork in because obviously I got approved for Section A. I was one number from the last person or two numbers from the last person that got picked that year. I really didn't. I was like, well, God, I prayed about it. Said, God, if you know I'm going to be safe in Florida, if you know that my dad or my family won't harm me or the boys, then if you let me go and it's an easy transaction where it happens, where there's no glitches, no it's or buts about it, nobody's confused, nobody's like, I don't know, da da da, because any little thing I was going to be like, forget it. But everything started happening. I got approved for the Section 8. I was like, okay, now I got to move somewhere because the place I was at was low income. So as long as I was there, I was permanent low income. But if once I got Section 8, they're like, oh, all the Section 8's apartments are taken. I said, yeah, I wanted to move out of the area anyways. So I moved. I think I was 7 months, 8 months pregnant at this time. Yeah, Dee was born in April. So I must have been in that apartment. So yeah, it was the beginning of the month. So it was that month. I moved in April 1st. And with Section 8, you have to put in a year anywhere if you want to transfer out of state. So I was like, okay, I'm just signing a 1 year lease. I told my dad, I talked to my uncle. I'm like, look, it's just a 1 year lease. It's going to give me time to hopefully get some stuff for the baby. I should have, I really should have shipped a lot of the baby stuff instead of buying it and having it here because I needed it more there than here. But either way, I didn't think that part through. But either way, so every step of the way, I was like, okay, I got the Section 8. Okay, I moved. Okay, I'm 6 months in. Are you still sure? Because in April or something, we're coming. I think I did, after that year, I was able to go month to month. So I did, I was nervous. Once April came, they were like, okay, are you ready? It's like, uh, I don't know. I was like, give me a couple more months. I gotta pack up the house and figure out how to sell things and what to do, garage sale, all this stuff. So that ended up happening in July. I told my landlord, yeah, I'm gonna go. I have my tickets. I told my dad, okay, I'm getting the ticket. Are you still sure? Is Theo still sure? Yeah, 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 come on. By now, he's like, well, damn, I guess she is serious. She's really doing it. And, everybody in Seattle was telling me, you crazy? Especially because I was going to go be around my dad. And thanks to my foster mom, everybody knew my business. People that I never intended for them to know that my dad did what he did, know about my business, know about the history of my foster care things, files, because Evelyn was a caseworker, so she had access to my files. And I think foster families do get information, as much information as they want about the kid. Um, so, yeah, I figure, okay, everything's going smoothly. Surprisingly, my foster parents were being very helpful. I think mostly because they were getting some of my good stuff. Like I was starting to buy like really good furniture. I got a really nice glass and real good wood computer desk. It was beautiful. And then I had some really nice shelves to put shoes and kids' cubbies, kind of cubby shelf things. And my sectional was dope. Like, it was brand new. It was stupid of me to get all that stuff thinking about. I just thought that at some point around along the steps, I just thought that my dad was gonna say, you know what, I don't know, something. He was gonna back out. But he wasn't, so I wasn't. So I was like, okay, I just gotta trust that God will protect us and that I'm not setting myself up to be in any kind of danger or harm. I'm not setting my kids. I was like, I don't think he would do anything in front of the kids. And they were too young to. Well, Johnny was going to school, but the little one was with me all the time because he was just a baby. He was one by that, you know. Well, no, he was like 6 months, 7 months. Was he? I swear, when I moved, maybe it was, I did a year and more. I know I moved in August, so it was either that August or the next August. I think maybe it was the next August. But I definitely moved in like 2 weeks before having him. I had the C-section, had to come back, set up my whole damn house. Scraping on the floor, trying to move furniture after a C-section. But either way, so I was like, and I just kept praying. I was like, God, I just give it up to you. Just let us be close to a church or something. Um, if this is a setup and this is just let my kids be safe, let me come up with some kind of plan to escape if this is a setup. Um, but I just kept feeling like it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. So I did the move, 7 boxes, seven. Now don't ask me why seven. It just happened. I looked at the prices of the boxes because you have to buy the boxes from UPS and then fill them up, and then they come pick it up, and then but they tell you the price beforehand, depending on how much it weighs, but they give you a price. And I think what they did was like, if you got more than 5 boxes, it was a bigger deal. So I think my foster dad was like, well, you might as well do more than 5. You got a lot of stuff. Your kids got a lot of stuff. It's like, yeah, okay. So we landed on 7. And I don't know how I got 7 suitcases. So let me tell you something. This airport, I don't know how. Looking back, there's a lot of things that I'm like, how did I do that? A year after your C-section, you're still healing. You can still break open. You can still rupture stuff inside. Here I am trying. I think I paid somebody to do the suitcase. Or maybe they came in with me to check in the suitcases. Because I had a car seat. By that time, my kid was in a car seat that sits up. So he was definitely over a year old. So it must have been the next year. So he was born in '09, so it must have been 11. Yeah, so I wrote the title right. But either way, so thank God for that it wasn't the Clicker one, because those strollers are bigger, bulkier. But I had a little red and black stroller with the red and black car seat. But because the car seat doesn't, hooked onto the stroller like the baby ones do, you kind of have to carry that on the side. The basket under wasn't big enough. So I had a backpack. AJ had a backpack. And I couldn't put a backpack on the baby. I think I had a baby bag on the stroller. And I was carrying the car seat. But I don't know how I got in the door. So I must have had help. Oh, you know what? When they dropped me off, I checked them all in outside. That's how it was. I remember now. Yeah. Checked them in outside. They were like, "Oh, what are you doing? Moving?" Yep, exactly. I'm moving. They said, "This is it? Where's all the..." I said, "Oh, there's going to be boxes going." Um, Luckily, my uncle was nice enough to let me ship the boxes to his business, since he had the room. Um, so that was nice. So I didn't have to stress about like what address to send them to, and where they're gonna be in people's way. Somebody's gonna be annoying. I mean, my uncle is kind of like a neat freak, I noticed. So, or that one. I think they're all kind of neat freaks. I see my dad, and he's got his little ways, and a lot of, like, I think a lot of them aren't. Maybe not all, but I think a lot of them aren't. Which is good. It shows, my grandfather taught them how to be clean and all that stuff. But either way, so yeah, after a week or so of the boxes being there, my uncle was like, "Okay, girl, look. Now you're here now. The boxes came a few days after you got here. I kept them for a week. Like, are you getting a place? Like, what's going on?" So obviously, I made it through the airport. Now, um, hi, silly. Hello. Great. Um, I think I had to. I hate medicating my babies. I always hated when I saw females doing that in Harrington House. But I did give him a little Benadryl, liquid Benadryl, so he could, because he was crying, and I was like, oh my God, I'm one of those people. I hated, before having kids, I hated, I had no compassion for people that had crying kids on the airplane. I'm like, dang, did you really have to bring that kid? Did you really have to take, especially with kids that are less than a month old? Like, really, you really have to go somewhere. You can't even let the brain settle down in the skull. Like, that thing is going to be swishing and swashing. I mean, I'm sure they're okay. A lot of babies travel, but I just don't understand. Like, even before one, well, I'll say, I think after 6 months, I would, if I was advising somebody, I would say, wait 6 months at least. Dang. But either way, that's none of my business. But that was me. Ah, Now Johnny, oh my God, he was so great. I told him, hold on to my purse. I didn't do the leash thing with the kids. That's horrible. I had a friend that had a leash for her son. That was the first time we were at the zoo. I was so embarrassed. I'm like, not only do black people get called monkeys, but then you got a monkey leash for your kid? Of course, black. And I'm like, there's no way. Now you're really making your kid look like an animal. Like, but because I had a Johnny first, I didn't understand the struggle with the Kari. Whew. I had to like bribe, restrain. I had to buy I bought a extra belt, a real belt, and just slashed holes in the stroller when he was like 2 or 3 to strap him in even harder. because he would slip out of them so easily. Even if they had the thing in between the legs, he would slip out of them. And, one time with an umbrella stroller, he just stood up and walked with it in his back. I was like, you are so good. Oh my God. But thank God, Johnny didn't. He was good. He was happy with the snacks. You just feed Johnny, he's happy. So, anyways, it was a long flight because it was after 9/11. So before, the flights to the East Coast used to be like 4, not even, was it 4 hours? Around those times, I think they were still 8 hours. Now they're back to 5, 6 hours or so. They still gotta go around somehow, not straight anymore. But it's not as bad as the 8 hours. Oh my God. So, yeah, it was a long time. Thank God it was an overnight flight. So when I got there, it was like 8:30 in the morning. The kids were tired. I was tired. I was hungry. But around that time, Florida, you walk outside, you feel that warm breeze hugging you. It's like, oh, I'm home. Now that's 8 o'clock. Around 12 o'clock, it starts to feel like you want to get an umbrella, pour ice over your head, and go somewhere with air conditioning. But at 8 o'clock, it feels beautiful. 8, 9 o'clock, lovely. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, lovely. But I like the sun, so I like the morning like that. But either way, so thank God my dad thinks like me. And, oh, you want to eat? Heck yeah, you already know. So he took me, suitcase and all, he took me to my uncle's business. I was like, oh, is he still on the next door spot with the food? He's like, yeah, well, now his wife, anyways, his wife had it. Blah, blah. So I was like, oh, good, I want to see her too. So we go next door, we grab a plate. They're talking, talking, talking. I'm like, I'm so tired. I just want to go lay down. But of course, it's daytime. Everybody's happy. Everybody's loud. Da, da, da. The kids are hyped. They're in the new spot. They want to explore. So we're exploring. But right before we drive to my dad's place, we hit a left and a right. I was like, wait, was that a church in the corner? Where do you live? It's like, oh, I just live over here. It's like, oh my God, I could walk to it. So right away, I realized, dang, God really does listen and God really does care about me. Sometimes I used to question, like, why do I go through all this? Why did I go through all this? Why me? And I hate with a passion. With, oh, God gives his stronger soldiers the eat that, eat it. I hate that. It's like I'm not that like I don't want to be that strong. If I am, I don't want to be that strong to get all the dang lessons and all the battles and all the. And then on top of that, not to have one parent give a fuck. Like that's the tough cookie. It's like if I could be loved. I'm just like it will almost be worth it if I could have parents that cared and that treated me right. Like, what would that have? Maybe I wouldn't have gone through it. Well, I definitely wouldn't have gone through half of the stuff I went through if I had a parent like me. Because I know I shield my kids from a lot, and some people think that that's bad because it's like, oh, they're not gonna know what to do when stuff happens, this and that. But I don't want them to feel like I did where nobody listened, nobody cared, nobody was coming to save me, nobody was rescuing me. Like, I had to pull up my pants and get it and survive and hopefully make. And some days, to tell you the truth, like when my dad was choking me, when the CB, whatever, the Child Protective Services were called, and he was choking the life out of me, I know I was fighting at first. I remember thinking in my head, like, maybe this is better. I won't suffer anymore. It's weird, like, right before that happened, I remember crying one day because I didn't understand everything that was happening or why it was happening or why he was touching me and why he couldn't, like, I was scared when my stepmom left, like, eventually I'm like, what is it? Like, is this gonna be an ongoing thing? Like, every time she leaves, he's gonna get curious. So yeah, people, I know that people were questioning me. Why would she do that to herself if her dad, because this is the thing, I feel like nobody has the balls to say it to my face, but I feel like there's some people that feel like if her dad did that, then why this and that? Not, dang, her dad did that and she's still willing to forgive him. Dang, her dad did that and she's still willing to be around him. Dang, her dad did that and she's still willing to talk to him with love, not with hate. I don't think a lot of people, nobody said that to me, but I could tell in their heads that, well, she moving and she gonna have to live with him. Now, mind you, the plan was to be at his spot for 2 weeks, and the emotions were so high. And once I saw the church, I felt protected. I was like, okay, I'm going there the next day. Like, I'm going there and I'm introducing myself and I'm asking for God's protection while I'm there. I'm hoping these people are nice, these people are welcoming. It's the South, so it should be, So I felt like God answered me in such a clear way that my confidence went up. Like, okay, I did the right thing. I didn't put my kids at risk. We got this. And I was supposed to be with my dad for 2 weeks. After I saw the church, I was like, oh, dang. Where my uncle lived, it was kind of hidden. There was nothing around, no stores, no nothing. So he was starting to discourage me, like, oh, Joanna, since you're not finding a place, maybe you want to stay there since it's closer to where you want to be and where your kid is going to go to school. And I was like, oh, dang. He's basically telling me no before he tells me no. So I put it in my head, I was like, damn, I'm stuck with Poppy. So, okay, so am I gonna be okay? That's the first thing I asked myself one night when I was watching TV with the boys. Am I gonna be okay? Are the boys gonna be okay? Are we gonna be safe? I did notice he had a gun on him all the time. I didn't understand why, because I'm like, if you're just working for my uncle, like, why do you have to carry a gun with you all the time? But that did kind of put me in, I noticed, like, oh shit, I gotta remember this guy still could be mad at me. This guy, I have to stop seeing as my dad. I have to start seeing him as somebody that could get drunk and take me out or hurt one of my kids just to hurt me. Like, So after the 2 weeks, I started, like, my head, I was feeling like, damn, maybe I made the mistake. Maybe this was too soon, too fast. Like, maybe I should have talked to him a little bit more. I didn't know I was still feeling this much anger towards him. Like, all these feelings, there's certain looks that he would have when he drinks that would remind me and would trigger a memory. And it's like, it would just put me in that place of, like, feeling like that 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old that was helpless, that didn't understand what was happening, didn't understand that she was being taken advantage of, and being told in a way that you can't tell, you know. I mean, he did say that, but he didn't, I already knew he had a 45 in my closet, so I had that in my head. He didn't have to tell me I'll shoot you, but, and all those things came up, and I started having conflict, and I started having thoughts about taking him out, using his own gun, da 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 da. And I was like, what if he's still doing it to other kids? What if this is not a one-time thing? And then I started piecing together, like, wait, somebody told me that my mom was 8 when he got with her. He was 18. So I was like, wait, so I wasn't the first one. Am I the last one? Does he like boys? Do I have to watch out for my kids? Like, it was so hard to be there every day. And I was so frustrated. I could not move about the way I do here or did in New York. Like, I didn't know anything. The system is very slow down there. And it's a little harder to find what you want. A lot of the places look like project buildings, and I was like, nope, I'm not gonna be in a 5-story building with bars. Like, I could have gone to New York for that. I want a house or a duplex or a fourplex, something like that, more house-like. And I saw enough listing for houses or duplex or that I knew I could find one if I just didn't say yes to every place that, oh yeah, come on in. But unfortunately, that meant one more night, one more week, So I ended up spending 4 weeks, and by the end of that 4 weeks, my stepmom did my dirty work for me. I basically convinced her that I was watching how he was putting and where he was putting his gun away. And I convinced her that I was trained on how to use that gun. Now, I did go practice, not for that reason, but just to, something to do. One of my friends was like, oh, this is something that all women should do, get you a little something, little small. I was like, I don't think I want anything in my house, but I'll go with you to the gun range. And I forgot which one. There was one that was too heavy, but there was one that was just right, and it looked like the one that my dad had. So I was just gossiping and also just testing my stepmom to see if I could trust her. Since she told me after I went into foster care, she beat me down with this. Why did you just tell me? You could have trusted me. You could have trusted me. I said 20 years later, let me put that to the test. Let me see if I could trust her. So I fed her like 2 lies and a truth just to see what she would do. Now, I did say, and I always told my dad this, that if I find out that he touched my sisters at the time when I talked to him, that I would use his own piece on him. But I believe he did touch another kid. So I told my stepmom that. I said, I think he did that to that kid, and you need to press him. Like, you need to find out if he's still sick in the head. Since he was going up to Connecticut, and let me tell you something, he showed up a day earlier than what I felt so free being in his apartment. Without him, I was like, oh, I can finally breathe. I know I can let my kids play in the living room if I'm in the room, and I don't have to worry, like, do I have to be in the room watching them? Da, da, da. He came a day or two earlier than what he was supposed to. I was like, oh, you're early. So I actually, at that point, forgot because it was probably a week later that I told my stepmom all this stuff. And it was like a week later. So I wasn't really thinking about it. And with my dad or anybody that I've forgiven him, every time I see them, I really do try to, except for Mike, I can't get over how mean he was to me. Like, I don't know, something about him I just can't get over. When I see him, I'm like, ugh, his laugh, his voice. I just, even if I want to move on. I don't want to feel that way, but I just can't. He's just, ugh. But either way, with my dad, with my stepmom, with anybody else that I've ever hated or felt a negative feeling or felt hurt by or whatever, I've always tried to just kind of clean slate, clean slate. Because, the Bible said, oh, turn the other cheek, turn the other cheek, turn the other. It's like, are we supposed to be punks just because we believe in God? Like, that pisses me off. Some of the things that I learned as a kid, like respect your elders. Well, there should have been more to that. Respect your elders unless you feel like they're touching you in the wrong place, they're violating your space. If that's the case, you have my permission to cuss their ass out and scream and come tell me, and I'll handle it. But, like, no, you're just told all these rules, and you're just supposed to be this docile flower blowing in the wind and praising God because He's on. It's like, if the stories about God is true, he was nothing to be messed with. So, like, as I got older, you know, I'm like, why don't people focus on that sometimes? Like, I definitely understand the balance between Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Like, you needed both. Because kindness can only get you so far sometimes with some people. You can't be kind to everybody. And you definitely can't be a pushover for anybody. I don't care what the Bible says. But, like, growing up, you hear that all the time. So I really was thinking, well, in order to feel like I forgave him, I gotta be okay with being around him. Like, why do I feel this way? Why am I having all these emotions? Why am I so angry? I thought I forgave him. I thought I forgave him. I was beating myself up. And I wish I could have gone to my pastor and been like, look, this is what I'm feeling, but this is what I really have in the dark spaces in my head. This is what's going on. I wish I could do this and that. I swear I had like prison torturous mentality. Like, I wanted to do so much to him, but at the same time, I still saw my dad. I still saw that guy when I went to parties with. Everybody's like, oh, that's one's daughter. Oh, yeah. And I was daddy's little girl. So off and on, I would fall into that, like, oh, Bobby, oh. Because in foster care, you feel so unwanted, so uncared for. My mom didn't want anything to do with me. So it's like my stepmom didn't want nothing to do with me. So he was really the only one that was like, him and all my grandparents, obviously, my stepmom's grandparents. My Uncle Tony, he never made me feel left out on nothing. He made me feel so much loved. And then, some of my aunts and stuff growing up, and then my grandma from my dad's side, my grandma and my grandpa. But he was the only one that didn't see me. I didn't feel like I was a burden to him. Like I said, I'm moving. He helped me. I said, I need help moving or packing. Like, he did it. And I know that that's minor to people that have parents that care, but that's huge because anybody else have, it feels like it's a whole big ordeal. Oh my God, we have to help Joanna move. Oh my God, oh my God. Oh, she had a baby. Oh, we have to. Oh, we'll do 1 or 2 meals for her. It's like, meanwhile, you see people, whole mom move in for a month. Like, that's luxury to me. But either way, so I um I was able to make it through, and I did. I went back to him before I moved. I said, after he calmed down, my stepmom got him riled up, and she tried to call me after that. I was like, nope. I see you're still the same snake. I can't trust you. Some of that stuff I told you just between us. Some of it wasn't even true. I was just seeing if I could trust you. And I didn't want nothing else to do with her. Um, but before I moved, I remember I just talked to him because I know he wasn't gonna say it to me. I said, I know she talked to you. Because it's obvious you're hiding your gun in different places now. And I was like, and now you're taking gun training? Like, what? You're going to become a police? Like, what is all this? Like, is this intimidation, like, one-on-one? I don't get, like, what you're doing. But it wasn't working. Like, I wasn't scared in that sense. I was just like, okay, I got to keep more of an eye on my kids just to so he don't take out his anger on them. But I talked to him. I said, at this point, it is what it is. Like, what happened happened. I'm really trying hard, and you have to believe me. Like, I didn't come down here to set nobody up. I didn't come here to play games. I really do want to be part of a family again. Like, I miss my family. Like, we have a huge family. Like, my grandma had 15 kids. I think she lost one after birth, and she ended up having 14, I think. Either way, so, like, imagine everybody having 2 or 3 kids and their kids having 2 or 3 kids. And so our family is huge, and, you know, I just wanted some of that back. Like, even if I had to sacrifice being uncomfortable around him, because it comes and goes. Like, I could forgive him, and in an hour I'll have a flashback. He could be talking to me, even over the phone, he could be talking to me, and he'll say something that it'll be like, what? And that'll trigger me. So there's really nothing that he could have done, but I did pray on it. And I feel like God told me to tell him, like, look, I told to him about my stepmom and what I told her. I said, that wasn't true. I do wonder if you did that to anybody else. I'm going to be honest with you. It's just you and me. The kids are gone. They were gone with something in the church. So it was just me and him talking in the house, and I didn't feel threatened. I didn't feel like he was mad or whatever. I was like, look, I feel like in order for me to really, really forgive you, maybe, I don't know, because I'm really trying to, maybe if you just come to the church with me one Sunday, and we talked to the pastor. He doesn't have to know exactly what happened, details, nothing. But if you just come with me to the church one time, even if you just want to pray in the pews and kneel down with me and ask God for forgiveness, then I'll believe that you're really, really sorry. I'll believe that you really aren't going to do it again and are really sorry. I asked him to go do that. First, I wanted him to meet with the pastor and confess. Like I was like, the pastor's not gonna tell nobody that he's not a gossiper. And then on the third Sunday or third week of me asking him, he's like, look, I just feel like I've done so many bad things that if I go in the church, it's gonna burn. like I'm like, this is not a cartoon. This is not a movie. Like, that doesn't happen. You don't catch flames because, oh my God, you're so unholy. Like, everybody's a sinner. And I was really trying to figure out how to forgive him in a way that I didn't have that anger, that thought. I really thought that I could keep a relationship with him and it would be a daughter and or maybe a friend because I'm older now. I'm an adult, so it's not like he could father me in any way. But I tried. Living with him for a month, that was the hardest thing that I could ever have done to myself. That was like torture. After the 2 weeks, it got really hard. And I remember when I used to go shower, I used to lock the door, put something like a trash can or something in front of the door of the bathroom. And I used to tell the kids, lock the bedroom unless you hear me. Like, we had a little knock that we did. It's like, don't open the door. Even if it's grandpa, don't open the door. I was so paranoid. And, but luckily we got into our little yellow house. I got to meet a lot of interesting people. Godfrey and Godfrey and Sharon were like mama and papa bear to us. Like, they protected us. They made sure we were fed. We had food. If I needed to go do errands, like, and once in a while she'd be like, oh, if you can do $20 for gas, that's fine. But I was like, man, until I got really up on my feet, I couldn't, do too much. Um, and then the church ended up, after I met Mark, my ex-husband, they blessed us with a car so we can have an easier time going and coming. Not only with a car, but they even went a step further and figure out, okay, we were waiting for a car that had a big trunk. My ex-husband was in a wheelchair, so he just had an accident in New York like 2 years before that. So, um, yeah, but meeting my ex-husband, like, it was a whirlwind. I was talking to somebody in Michigan. I was talking to two people in Florida. And then he came online one time. And I was like, oh, he's from New York, so he had that New York flavor. I was like, oh, yeah, you're going to be a hard one. I already see. It's going to be hard to shake you. And so anyways, I wasn't trying to meet up with anybody. My kids were small. We were just getting, you know, settled down. We found a pool. That was our routine. Like, whenever we could on the weekend, we would walk to the pool, then walk to Publix, grab a sandwich, and by the time we walk home, we were dry. Wet clothes and everything. Like I would put loose pants on top of my swimsuit. I would tell the boys, yeah, keep your. Sometimes I would even have them wet their shirt because it's so hot that it's not like you don't get cold. It kind of keeps you cool until you got home. So that was most of our Saturdays. So I was having fun. I was loving it. Like, I know that that doesn't seem like a lot to people, but two kids, after being scared for 2 weeks, thinking that something could happen to me or my kids, it was nice to just not only have a nice place and oh, the thing that I forgot to mention was my uncle knew some people that were moving out of state or out of the country, and they were selling. mm, They were selling everything for like 650, 630. He talked them down to 330, which looking back, at that time it sounded like a lot of money because I'm like, I just spent all this money on shipping stuff here. All this, the suitcase was like over 250. At that time, I think suitcases were 25 a pop, and I had two huge ones, so those alone were like $50. Now they would be 100 because they were definitely over 100 pounds. Either way, so I just spent all this money, and you know, trying to have enough money for deposit and all this stuff. So I was like, Poppy, I don't even have that. So he was like, okay, well, Theo's gonna get it for now, and then I have to pay him until you could pay me back. And I was about to, like, after I got in my place and got settled, I had everything that I needed. The people had everything. They had 3 kids, so they actually had an extra bunk bed. So if I had guests, I could set it up. The living room had like a two-part. They were like, there was like a walk-in area that I turned into a mini living room entryway. And then there was the living room that kind of sunk down. So I was thinking, well, if I have visitors, then I'll just put a curtain up there and set it up like a little studio with the extra bed. Um, so I did have the boxes that I had shipped. So I had the kids' blankets. I had, back then they only had the regular We, and that was good enough for them. Now, dang, they have like 3, 4 systems. I don't know why they need so many dang systems. I know, different games, but either way, simpler times. They had TVs, and they had a really nice bedroom set. I'm like, oh, this is fancy. I normally don't do like regular grown up bedroom sets just because it's just, I remember growing up having that, and I was like, when I grow up, I'm gonna have fun and just be random. And I don't know. I guess now they call it like hobo gypsy style. When I found a page that had, I was like, oh, that's what it's called. I just thought I didn't like matching stuff. I just like color. I grew up in the DR where some of the houses are bright green and bright yellow, and so I just, in my mind, I guess, in my house, I want to recreate that. I want to have happy colors. It's so depressing in Seattle. It's always raining gray sometimes. So, like, you know, around now, it would be the time that I definitely need to find my sun lamp and start using that because we haven't had sun in a while now. Not the real sun. But either way, so I met up with my husband, and then I dropped everybody because I was like, oh, okay, yeah, he did lie. He said he using a cane. like, why do people do that? I'm so honest about my health and my everything I'm going through, my situation, my employment. Like, why do people choose to lie? It's just like, it's so frustrating. But he instantly bonded with my little one. And up to that point, my little one didn't like any man. Like, he liked my dad because he knew he was my dad. So it took him like a couple of days for him to get comfortable. But then after that, he was like, yeah, he would run up to him. But men that I try to talk to or whatever, I mean, I wasn't bringing anybody around, but even when I was at the store and a man came up to talk to me, grocery stores, toy stores, let a man come talk to me. He thought he was the protector. He was like, he would just give him some type of look. And I'm like, dude, like, you are a baby. What are you doing? So I did have one person that I was talking to before I left to Seattle. And I did have, after like 6 months, no, 4 months of talking, I did introduce them to the kids. So I saw it with him. The car was like, hell no, who are you? But the fact that he instantly connected with my kids, and after I got over the wheelchair and the awkwardness when we first met, I was like, okay, well, just don't lie again, especially about something stupid, because then I'm not going to be able to trust anything else you say. And I don't know, like, it takes me a while to learn how to use a different kitchen, a different stove. So I was cooking dinner when I was going to introduce them to the kids after we met up a few times. And the rice came out like super sticky, like Chinese sticky rice, which I didn't know I could make. And I was so embarrassed. I'm like, oh my God, I must have been so nervous that I messed up. Luckily that was the only thing that was messed up. The meat still tastes good. The beans still. I made plantains. I forgot what meat, but either way, everything else was good except the rice was garbage. And I didn't know about. Now I know that if you have a rice cooker or even a regular pot, if you put a piece of bread or two and leave it on low, it's supposed to draw out the moisture, and then you can throw away the bread. I didn't know that back then. I wish I did, because I would have fixed the rice. And it was too late to make a new pot, so I was like, I'm just gonna pretend like this is what it was supposed to be. And for me, it doesn't take much for me to feel appreciated and seen and heard. But I don't know, like seeing him interact with the kids and how smart he was with computers, like he used to fix computers and phones, and how motivated I was like, dang, this guy's in a wheelchair. And if we're going to the pool, like he's like, yeah, let's do it. Just rolling around. I mean, not trying to be funny, but it was literally like rolling. So, but he was so motivated and so just passionate about getting it. And then the New York swag, the New York talk. I was in like, now it wasn't like Nico that I had that spark feeling, but I was starting to feel something. And then after we were talking and dating for a while, maybe 2 or 3 months, we discovered that we actually talked to each other like 2 or 3 years before on a chat line. Because I was still using the same fake name. I used to used my favorite cousin at the time. Her name, not her whole name, just her first name. I don't know. I liked her and I thought she was cute. I was like, oh, I want to be like my big cousin, blah, blah, blah. So it was kind of like Amish to her. But that was my fake name for all the chat. And he was like, yeah, I remember. I remember a New Yorker, da da da, living in Seattle, da da da. And he started kind of naming certain things. And I was like, what? Yeah, at that time, yeah, I was going through this, or yeah, I did that, or yeah, I was going to school for that, da da da. He was like, yeah, so we were talking. My name, he couldn't remember what his name was because he used so many fake names. So, but I was like, oh, wow. And you were in New York, I was in Seattle. You didn't know I was moving. I didn't know I was moving until it happened. But you didn't know you were moving to Florida. He's like, yeah, after the accident, I couldn't go back to. He used to be a limo driver and got hit with like a truck, either a truck, either he was running the red light or a truck did and hit him and then crushed his legs into the door. And so it was pretty bad. That's what he said. But let me tell, that's why I said that's what he said, because he told me so many things. And after we got married, we decided to go to post-marital counseling just to kind of get an understanding, because I was like, we were doing so good. It felt like such a partnership. Like, I didn't have to ask him to pay a bill. I didn't have to ask him to. He saw what was missing in the fridge. He would either call up his uncle, call up his aunt, or his cousins, be like, hey, we need to make a store run, da da da. Like, he just knew and what the kids needed, and he was just on it. But after we got married, it was like, at first we agreed that he would get, he was trying to get his computer, I forgot what he called it, computer and laptop services up, basically fixing stuff. And then he wanted to have an icy business, like a shave ice. Rapao, that's what we call it in New York, rapao. So I was like, oh my God, so that's why I felt like it was like a fairy tale, because I was like, oh my God, my grandfather used to do that. He used to stand on 170th Street. I forgot what the other street is. But if you're from New York and you know, 170 and not Amsterdam, not Nicholas. I think it's the one in between that street. But either way, so he used to do that for a long time, as long as I remember. I think he did it until he couldn't do it no more. I know that much. That was his passion. So to see him so passionate and so like, I'm like, yes, I'm trying to be all that you could be, as far as I'm every woman and I got your back and blah, blah, blah. Well, as soon as he got a little whiff of himself, and we had a car that the church donated, and he has little two businesses that he could use as a line drop, he started acting different. And I was like, okay, before my imagination, because I thought, well, maybe he is just tired. Maybe he is. Now, he definitely, the first thing was he stopped going to church after we got the car, which was the opposite of what the church wanted. He stopped going to church. Then he didn't want to drive me to the church because that was too much. Then I was like, why am I paying somebody to take my son to school and pick him up when we have a car? We could be saving, yeah, it'll go on gas, but we could do it ourselves. Like, this fool unplugged something when we got to the school. When I got back out to the car, He was outside struggling. The neighbor was out there with a bucket of water. It was a whole bunch of smokes and stuff. I'm like, what happened? I don't know. The car stopped working. Da da da. Later on, I saw a freaking movie. Like, this was last year. I saw a movie. Somebody did that to their girlfriend's car because they didn't want her to go or something. All you have to do is click, unplug something, and boom, your car won't start. Like some hose or something. I don't remember the movie or what, but it was so simple. And I felt so stupid, like thinking back to that scenario, because I really thought we were. I was like, oh man, the time that I take a Johnny off, the little ride thing, and thinking I'm doing something. I'm telling the lady, no, we got this. Now we got a car. We got this. Man, I had to call that lady later on that day. Now, I did make him go pick him up too. I was like, well, we got to do it today. Maybe she'll come back to us tomorrow, but we got to do it today. So I just didn't go with him this time. And they came back no problem. So, of course, after I get in the car, he plugs in whatever he unplugs, and we went home. And I was like, dang, I felt stupid. I was like, oh man, here I thought we could save money. I'm sorry. I'm apologizing to him because at this point, I'm not realizing he did some just to be lazy, just to be spiteful. So I don't know. I just asked the pastor, I'm like, I know we were supposed to do it before marriage, but I just feel like there's certain things after 6 months of being married. There's certain things that he was doing when we first met that he's just not doing. And I don't feel like I should be asking or begging. Like I actually lost help because I'm married now, so your husband got you. Like I was like, oh hell no, I still need all the help. I still need everybody else to care about me and my kids. So it felt like almost like a downgrade. Getting married was almost like a downgrade because it was like people just automatically assume that you're good just because you're married. It's like, well, yesterday I'm still the same person that I was last month. Like, I still need help. And I'm still new because when I moved to Florida, I moved with the intention to try it out for a year. If I didn't like it, I was coming back. So my year when I met him, like I met him 6 months in, I think, when I was there. So I told him, I said, hey, in August, I'm planning to dip, like, so don't get too attached. Then when we met and the kids met, I was like, oh my God. And my son started calling him Papa. I was like, oh great, now we got a label. Now there's an attachment. He was like, well, all you gotta do is stay married me. That's how he asked me. He just right next to me on the couch. Wasn't romantic, but at the time I was like, oh, that's so sweet. Um, but either way, so yeah, so I was just asking before, because I was like, I don't want to be thinking divorce already. I was talking to one of my girlfriends, and I was already talking divorce 3 months in. I was like, what did I do? Like, this was stupid. I was already in Seattle. I was getting ready to ship my boxes. I already had my suitcases. What did I come back for? Like, he convinced me to fly back with the 7 suitcases and the kids and the stroller after I left because he was so in love. I was so in love. We were going to get married and it was going to work. And I fell for it. Come to find out, by the time we did the counseling, we were at my doctor's office, and this fool gets my kids involved and him trying to steal a wheelchair from the hospital. Now, this is after the church. Not only, I forgot to say this, the church also gave us two wheelchairs for him because his wheelchair was pretty busted. Like, it was pretty run down. There was one that was huge. He used it for around the house. It had more cushion on the sitting part. And then there was one that was easier to put in the trunk and this and that, but it was still kind of bulkier than the one that he had. So he was trying to take the hospital one because that's like the one that he has. But I really was pissed that he thought it was okay to use my little one as a distraction. He basically told my kids to stay there and talk to the front desk people. And he was wheeling himself off with the brand new chair. He had the other chair in the trunk already. And so that's when I really was like, okay, we definitely got to talk to Pastor because I don't know. I could deal with a lot, but I'm definitely not dealing with somebody putting my kids in harm's way or any kind of stupid situation. Like, are you kidding me? He was stealing soap out of the hospital. Like, I know the soap is real silky and real nice. And nowadays, stuff is getting so expensive. I'd be looking at that thing like, dang, I see why he did it. But back then, it's not like we were down and out. We had Dollar Generals everywhere in Florida. It wasn't that hard to go get soap for a freaking dollar. Like, he was just stealing to steal just to get away with it. And he had my kids around that day. I was like, okay, no. We go to the counseling office, found out that he was never a Christian. He told me he was a Christian. He told me the day he was born again, the day he got baptized, all this and that. Now, it wasn't like that off. He was a Catholic, which most, well, he was Haitian, so I didn't know that Haitians could be Catholic. But that makes sense because it's all under the same island type of stuff. Just a whole bunch of random stuff. He felt embarrassed because I told the pastor about the wheelchair and the soap and my kids being around. And my biggest thing after having kids was I wanted to make sure I didn't care if I looked like a square, if I looked like a circle. I didn't want bad influence around my kids. I don't care if you were family, if you cursed a lot. I didn't want that around my kids when they were young. Like smoking a lot, definitely no weed. And if you drank a lot, no. I would make sure my kids were away. If I wanted to hang out with friends or chill, whatever, okay. But yeah, there's certain things that I didn't allow around my kids. Um, so definitely not teaching them how to steal and get away with it or charm their way out of, yeah. So he was embarrassed about that story. Then he decided to unleash and tell the pastor everything he lied to me about. So basically, I'm looking at him like, so who, like, I feel like I could have said that show's name back then. Who the F did I marry? Like, nothing, like, I don't know. I heard different stories about how he got in a wheelchair. There's two different stories about that. I believe the second story more than the one that I told on here. I could see that more. He tells me how he was with his kids. I don't know if that's true or not because some of them hate him, some of them didn't. I don't know. Um, he took, of course, people talk bad about their ex-wife, ex-girlfriend, so that's nothing new. But I was just like, well, dang. We only met with the pastor once. I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. I know he was too, but He really caught me off guard. I would never have guessed all the stuff that he told the pastor. I would never have guessed. But I thought to myself, well, it's definitely over. I know that people go to counseling, work things out, but this is dangerous to have around my kids. So I had to make a decision like, well, I should have just stayed when I left to go back to Seattle. I should have just stayed. I shouldn't have never married him. Da, da, da. But in the same breath or the same thought, I think about all the wonderful times, all the good times we did have, and why I fell in love with him, and why I decided to marry him. Only, I think we talked for like 6 months, but we called ourselves boyfriend and girlfriend for 3. So only 3 months of officially dating, I say yes. When I was saying no to some people for 2, 3 years, um, my cat is like, what's she doing? Hi, Cola. Hi, baby. That good girl. It's time for your medicine. My baby has asthma. My poor baby. Anyways, I'm gonna cut this down because I've been talking way too much. Um, I don't get the worst. The worst guy I ever had in my life. Oh, so I guess the next story it's about the narcissist that I met a few years back, maybe now 9 years back, 9, 10 years back. Yeah, the narcissist. They will try to deplete you of your personality, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, long story, I had to trust that my dad was safe enough for me to make that move. I don't regret the move to Florida. I do regret moving back. I felt like once I moved back, after coming back, I should have pushed through. I should have just divorced his butt, kicked him out, and been done. But I let my fear guide me into like, well, you know what it is in Seattle. You know it's a woman's state. You know you can get help with your kids. You know how to get around. You know. It'll be easier. Because the first thing I thought is it was like an hour or two to get to my doctor's with a car. Without the car, with the bus system down there is horrible. So I had to catch 3 buses, had to leave at like 6. I didn't get back until like 4. And there was a lot of waiting in between because my appointment was either at 8. So once I got there, 8:39 or whatever, I used to make them 4 or even 10. But there there wasn't no like, because there was 3 different buses and the one bus that went to the hospital was real tricky. It only went from 8 to 1 and then it started back up at 3. I think that was the times. Yeah, it started back at from 3 to 6. So that's the first thing I thought. If I stay, how will I even get my medical care? Like, there aren't no specialists just around the corner like there is in Seattle. There aren't many places that even know about these type of meds. I couldn't find no support group. I mean, I see online all the time people from Miami, people from, you know, kind of up the way in Florida. But when I was there, nobody was talking. Everybody was hush hush about all the support. So it was very frustrating. But I'm a survivor, and with Sharon and Godfrey and the support that I have from the church, if I would have said, look, I have to divorce my husband, this is why, da da da, maybe they could have canceled, they could have given us counseling to try to see if it could be worked out, or they could have been like, okay, girl, whatever you got to do, we got your back. But it's not like I felt like I was alone in the moment because I was just so disappointed. And I was more thinking about like what everybody else was gonna say. Everybody was gonna, oh, I told you. Because my ring wasn't a traditional ring, my wedding dress. Like, that's the other thing. I had to do all that by myself. Like, I was trying to convince my foster mom to go look at the dress with me, have, me try it on for her. And she just kept laughing, like, no, oh my God, no, oh my God. I was like, are you against me marrying somebody you don't know, or marrying somebody that's from the church, or are you treating me this way because you don't see me as a daughter? Like, which one was it? I didn't get like why she was acting so weird about just going or to. I actually got my dress from Ross and got my little headpiece at Claire's, $5. My little earrings, Lacey, yeah, Lacey ended up giving it to me, but she was like, "Oh, this you could borrow." And then after I got married, she's like, "Well, I actually just wanted you to have something borrowed, but it's actually for you. You could keep them." I still have them. They're cute little pearls, very beautiful. 3 little drops. What you trying to get close to me for? Huh? You trying to get close to the paper? Think she wants my attention. She trying to belly crawl to me. I'm just shy. You trying to crawl to me on the side, mama? Stinky buddies. Yo. I know. You just trying to scoop, scoop. You cute, mama. Oh, did it cut off already? It cut off and then it came back on. But either way, long story short, nothing that I do is, I don't know, it just seems like nothing that I do is fully supported. Um, and unfortunately, like the people that I had that have my back the way that they did when my kids were small, they're off in other states, or they're doing their own life, or we just outgrew each other. Some of those people, you know, I don't even keep in touch with. I tried to, but they just, they have their own stuff, so I'm not accusing them of anything. And I know I'm not the easiest person to deal with. I do flash out sometimes. I have my temperaments. And if you don't know to come back and let me apologize, and, then, yeah. And I know that, with all these words and everybody trying to sound like that's a toxic behavior. It's like, shove something up your, just so you could just sip it. So I'm so sick of people trying to sound like therapists. I do it sometimes when I'm like, when I'm trying to help or advocate, I get on that. But on a normal day-to-day talk, I just want to talk to a friend. Like, I don't want to hear that bull. Like, everything is toxic, toxic. It's like some stuff is normal. Like, stop overusing the word narcissist, toxic. What's another overused word? I don't know. Oh, what do you bring to the table? What do you bring to the table? Oh, I am the table. It's like, what? Now we're comparing ourselves to furniture. How about I'm the house? How about I'm the foundation? How about I'm the freaking dirt that goes under the house to support the house. Like, I'm the one that's building the house. How about that? Like, if we're gonna go there, you like what? Where did that even come from? Who the hell came up with that? A hungry heifer? That's who came up with it. I swear it had to be a hungry heifer to think about the table and the food. Because it's like, when you think about a house, that's the last. You could sit on the floor, you could sit on your bed, you could sit on your couch, you could eat anywhere. So how did that? But I'm sick of hearing it. I'm sick of hearing it. I'm sick of hearing it. I am the table. Oh, what do you bring to the table? I am the table. Oh, what do you bring to the? It's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Just like a wind-up doll, and they just go repeat, repeat, repeat. Follow, 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 follow. It's just like no wonder people are so intrigued when they meet me, because I'm not a freaking robot. I don't follow the norms and the uh, oh my god. Yeah, if I was a guy, I wouldn't say I would turn gay, because that's not it for me. But I definitely see why it would be annoying to deal with females. I can't even deal with them. But either way, love y'all. Um, I'm gonna try to blow up your little dog, Daniel, to see if I could see it. It looked like a fake picture though, like you took a screenshot. You said, "Do you like my dog?" But anyways, have a great one. I wanted to do a video yesterday, but I was too. What was it? I don't know. I wasn't sad. Like I was just. I don't know. Some Thanksgiving, some Christmas, it hit me like, dang. Uh, I don't have nowhere to go. And then there's some that I'm just like, I just want to play the food. That's it. I don't want to talk to nobody. And this was one of them. Like I wanted to be around, but kind of like invisible and eat my food and just watch everybody. But I wanted to go to like get a plate, not visit, but get a plate at my foster family's function. Then go to my family all the way to New York. I think they're in Jersey. They might be in New York. The one cousin that they all kind of get along, get together with. Grab a plate from them. Then go to Spain. Hang out with my aunt. Talk to her for a few days. See my brother. See my sister. Meet my niece. I wish I could meet her so bad. We're gonna make that happen one day. Um, yeah, and that would be my holidays would be like a week long. It wouldn't be one day, and it would have to consist. If I could make it happen, if I had a wishing well that would make it come true every year, that would be my routine. First, at maybe start with my family because their food is better and their conversation, I understand it better, their jokes and stuff. Just kind of sit back, watch, laugh, dip out, come here with my foster family, get a little bit of some, and dip to Spain for a few days and spend time with my family there. That would be my Christmas and my Thanksgiving every year if I could. And there's times that I miss being in the transitional housings. Like, we thought we were alone, and we always complain, like, dang, our families and blah, blah. But looking back, I was like, we weren't alone. We had each other's back. Like, everybody cooked something, and every place that I stayed, except for the first house, there was a lot of people that didn't know how to cook there. But Straley House was just kids that didn't know how to cook. But Ravenna House and Harrington House, and even there was a shelter I stayed in while I was trying to figure out the Spain trip. It was on 12 and Thomas, I believe. I forgot the name of that place, but we didn't cook per se because there was some people with health issues, some people with dietary needs, but I did have a couple of people that I got along with, so we would get together and make something. And people wanted, they didn't, they didn't. But Harrington House and Straley House, I mean, Ravenna House and Harrington House, we all cooked. There was, and at Ravenna House, there was a girl from Africa. She made her little spongy bread. Oh my God, that's when I fell in love with that. Just grabbing the food with the spongy bread and eating it. It was spicy as hell, but with enough sour cream, you're good. And then Charity with her fried chicken and I think she makes yam, sweet potato pie or something. I don't know. Everybody just put down. There was Hula from Hawaii. I forgot what she used to cook, but everybody knew how to cook. Even the white girl Dee Dee, like she was mixed black and white, but she would cook weird things, but it was still good. Like it's just like if you close your eyes, you eat it, it's really good. But if you look at it, you might be like, "Ooh, what is this?" I always give people a chance, like, cause I sometimes cook like that. Like there's certain things that don't look like the picture, but there's flavor and it tastes good. So you just kind of gotta get past that. Um, and then I forgot who else was at Ravenna House. There was Fro, there was Chaz, there was me. I'm Dominican, so of course I had to do Platano, and I don't know if we did meat. We had to have done meat, but I don't remember if we did turkey or ham or whatever. But, so that must have been it. Because Ravenna House, even though it's big, the downstairs didn't have room. Harrington House, the downstairs had rooms, so it was like 10 rooms. Harrington House, Ravenna House had 5, I think. Dee Dee, me, Hulu, Fro, and Chaz. Yeah, 5 rooms. So that was the best. Like, I'll remember those Christmas and Thanksgiving forever. Like, and then, of course, my favorite memory of the holidays is Miss Rodriguez, my first foster mom. She made coquito, and that was my first time hearing that. I think most of my family just drank beer. Like, I never heard them do, when I was little, do like specialty drinks or anything like that. So I was like, oh, I thought it was just like milkshake. You just add ice and she's like, no, 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 it has alcohol. I was like, oh, I must have asked if I could try it. She gave in. First, she gave me like a little spoon filled or some little, maybe a shot glass. I was like, ooh, this is good. She was like, you want more? I was like, yeah. She gave me a full cup. I'll never forget that. And then she made tamales. She would spend 2 or 3 days. I felt so bad. I feel looking back, like I wish I would have helped more in my first home, in my third home, Mrs. and Mr. Rodriguez, and Mrs. and Mr. Hightower. I wish I would have helped out more because they were older couples, and you could tell that they really did care about the kids that they took in. Unlike the second foster mom, she didn't give a. I don't think she cared about this baby. There was a baby, or were they twins? There was either 2 babies in her bed that used to sleep with her, or like a one baby. I don't remember, but I just remember this kid always had a saggy diaper. She never taught me how to change it. I mean, I knew because I took care of my sister, but I just started looking down on her a little bit because I just, after going up to upstate New York, I realized, wow, this lady uses her money that she gets that's supposed to be for the kids for her own. Like, she doesn't care about the kids. So I started kind of looking down on her and thinking less of her because of that. She has us squeezed into a 2-bedroom apartment. I'm sleeping with a divider with, the boys have bunk bed, and I'm like, even Section 8 doesn't allow you to put girls and boys together and their brothers and sisters, let alone the foster family, like the foster agency used to come in and been like, this is okay. But I couldn't complain because I was a teen and nobody wants teens and I have to take what I get, blah, blah, blah. I just left it alone. But I just remember feeling kind of like different about her after the trip up to. But I do remember the best memory I have of her is she had a routine. I wish this is hard to do. I don't know how people do it. Every Friday we have chicken, maybe KFC or something. We had 2, 3 buckets of chicken and like the wedges potatoes. Every Wednesday we had this beef and raisins thing. And at first I was like, what the? This spaghetti? But I tried it. I was like, "Ooh, this is pretty good. Who knew raisins and meat done together?" No, Wednesdays was spaghetti day. She fixed that thing, the 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 ground beef with the raisins on Mondays. So we knew what we were getting Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for sure. The other 2 days, I guess she just kind of was like, whatever I could do. So I did admire that, even as a kid, looking at her like, dang, this is a lot. Like, even on the weekends, I used to get overwhelmed. Like, I'm thinking to myself, we go to school, she stays home with the babies. How does she do this crap? Like, this is crazy. So I did admire that. Um, I don't remember anything special about the holidays, but the one thing that was special with that family was we used to go next door in the back and steal the neighbor's blueberry. And then she would make blueberry everything for that week. Blueberry muffins, blueberry pancake, blueberry shakes, blueberry this, blueberry. We were in blueberry heaven. Now we did, all the kids had to go pick if we wanted blueberry stuff all week. And of course, the more we picked, the more stuff we got. And then we had choices. We could pick what we wanted, depending on how many buckets you brought home. So I have a lot of cool memories when it comes to food. So sometimes, like, I started to get down yesterday because I did think about, like, dang, my ex didn't even wish me happy Thanksgiving, or like I had to be the first one to say happy. I mean, some of my girlfriends, like the ladies that I know, are like, oh, happy Thanksgiving. Even somebody, I didn't have somebody's number saved, and they're like, oh, happy Thanksgiving. I'm like, why does that happen? Why do you wait until the holidays to text me? And I delete numbers. Like, people need to stop acting surprised. If you haven't talked to me or text me in more than a month, and we're not that deeply connected, you're not connected to my kids, you're not connected to the schools, you're not connected to my doctors, or most likely I have deleted the number, because when I was doing regular videos and posting and uploading it, I had to delete apps and numbers and all kinds to make up space. I still don't have this computer, this phone thing down, I still don't. Well, I have to get enough memory. 64 is not enough. Then it's like the next level is not going to be enough. So I'm not going up. I just delete. I delete enough until I have enough room if I gotta do something. If I gotta download another app, I delete. And I go through how long have I not talked to this person? 4 months, delete. 3 months, delete. A year, delete. So, but yeah, it's just for a second I was having that thought, like, and I wanted to go get some wine, and I was like, no, I'm gonna deal with this like an adult. And in my own right mind, I'm gonna just, so I did start thinking about all the positive things that I've had happen around Thanksgiving and Christmas, and just holding on to those memories. And I feel like I lived 10 lives in my lifetime already. So my memory bank is full of good memories too. I know I get on here and I talk a lot about my past, and a lot of it seems tragic, and some of the stuff it's crazy. Some people would never go through it, could never imagine going through it. But so many kids, so many people go through stuff, man, and they quietly dealt like you never know. You never know. But yeah, I just chose to kind of, okay, fine. Nobody's saying, like, these people aren't saying happy Thanksgiving or hello or good morning. I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna be the bigger person again. I guess by me talking about it, that defeats the bigger person thought. That defeats it. I guess I'm still petty. I'm working on myself. Working on myself. But either way, like, share if you care. I notice nobody shares, but I'm still gonna say it because I came up with that little slogan. That's gonna be mine. Share if you care. Like, comment, subscribe. Okay, so guys, if I could please, oh my God, if I could get to 300 subscribers before January 1st, I'm gonna put the subscriber's name. I'm gonna pick 5 winners from the box. You have to be subscribed. And I'm gonna do it on a random day, so don't be like, oh, I joined before the first and then delete on the second. So it could be after the first that I look at the numbers. But if I am at 300 subscriber by the first, by December 31st or the 1st of January, I will pick 5 names, 5 subscribers randomly, and you will get a cash up. Now my Venmo is working, messing up right now, so all I got is cash up. So if you ain't got cash up, I feel sorry for you, son, but well, that's not my problem. But either way, please help me get there. Tell your friends if they like to hear a regular person talking about life stuff. Hopefully, my goal was always, when I started this in 2020, first of all, to get it off my chest. And it did that. It helped me get the worst parts of my life out of my chest. And it kind of gave me the freedom to not feel responsible, because for a long time, you blame yourself. It's not like people think, oh, stop being a victim. That happened so long ago. You'll never really fully recover. You'll never fully be that person that you could have been if it didn't happen, because it happened. So, but I'm always going to be working on myself. I'm always going to keep caring and keep being a loving person, besides what some people may think. Some people may be like, you nice? You will be. But either way, if I'm if I'm pushed to that edge, I could be mean, I could be um it takes a lot for me to get there with somebody that I love. So if you push me through that edge, believe me, there's receipts, there's reasons. But people, oh, what did I do? And then when you start telling, oh my God, you holding on to stuff 10 years ago. No, I was hoping you grow out of that stage, you move on, you learn how to treat me better, whether it's family members or not. And then one day I just got sick of it all. Said F to everybody. But either way, let me get up to 300, oh, and then 500. Once I'm up to 500, I think I can officially make my channel a real channel and have, I can start editing and doing all that. Right now I could, but when you're up in 500, they give you more choices on how to, manage your channel. So I'm like, okay, if I get up to 500, then I'll take this more serious. Maybe I'll get some equipment and get a little setup. And but for now, it was just for venting purposes and healing purposes, and it's helped me. Oh my God! 1, 2, 3, 4. I thought I was done with story times. I have 4 more pages, you guys. Oh my God. And that's just the stuff that I taught. Oh, I stopped at a Johnny turning 18. There's more than that. But either way, I may stop there. When I'm done with these titles, I may stop there because I am trying to get it in writing and remember the stories that I didn't tell on YouTube that I left out on purpose because I'm just like, if people couldn't handle, people lost their crap when I was talking about their parents. It's like if people lost their crap when I was clean about it, when I write it down, I expect to have 0 friends in my family. Actually, I know that there's the cousins that talk to me now will keep talking to me. Like, they don't care about all that. They kind of feel the same way I do about the family. Like, it is what it is. It's a lost cause at this point. I thought that it could, go back, but I forgot that after my grandfather died, a lot of secrets started coming out, a lot of hatred, a lot of this and that. And I don't know why people's death causes so much destruction. Like, I don't know if people, oh, I was supposed to get that pillow. No, he promised me. Like, what? People fight over the dumbest things when people pass. It's like, that's not, like, it's almost like we failed the lesson. I wonder if God really sits back and it's like, no matter how many times I tell them to pass this level, they just don't. They just keep getting stuck on bitching at each other. I don't know. Sometimes I ask myself these weird questions. And it's like, if there is a God, and I know there has to be, I experienced the peace that He brought me, the protection that He brought me, whatever the name may be. But I just wonder, like, is He disappointed? Did He really design us to be this stupid and this slow and this dumb? He said he made us in His image. He ain't stupid. He's not. Like, why are we so stuck on being so selfish, so self-destructive, so hateful? It's weird. Either way, shoot, I wanted to leave it on a good note. Let me see. Let me see if I can find an inspirational message in my day timer, because that was horrible. Just went off on a little tangent. Oh, okay, I'll say this. Have you guys thought about, okay, I'll tell you my New Year's, what I have written down. Love yourself, make yourself happy. Think, think about the good things. Ooh. Love who loves you. Now that seems a little selfish and self-centered, but if you know me, you know that I needed to write that down because I'm always putting, oh, and I have the name of my title at the end. And I guess that's it. But anyways, just go encourage somebody, go hug somebody. Since I kind of went off on a deep end. But yeah, back to the story times. I'm definitely not doing past an hour next video. Love y'all. Have a good, great night. Great